It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Friday, December 17th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this fabulous Friday? We've got some coronavirus updates, current news from around the world, the word study on the Wednesday message, and then victory rhymes with Youngse from South Africa. So how are you guys doing today? Yes, it is Friday, the last day of the work week, and I'm sure that all of you are excited to get this, like that work and that school all finished so we can enjoy this Friday evening and also Saturday night. So I am super happy and excited because, last night I went to my first NFL game. It was the LA Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. What a great game to watch as my first game, and I'm really, really happy. I'm going to put that onto my Instagram just to, you know, not to show off, but that's just what I did. My first game ever. Super happy about this. What about you guys? What have you guys got planned for this weekend? You know, one of the things that we're really trying to do and looking forward to on this this Morning Star Drive is to build the community. We want to build this community. I want you guys to keep liking, but most importantly, let's talk. Comment, tell me what's going on in your life. Tell each other, write a comment and then comment on other people's comments, and that'd be really great. I want to see how you guys are doing, what's going on in your churches, what's going on in your heads. Any of you would like to do the thoughts of the week for one of the weeks, I am happy to put anyone onto this programming, song requests, questions, anything that you want. We are open game for everyone here. So, I only have one more week left, exactly 1 week before I leave Los Angeles. So, there's a couple of going away parties and stuff. And which also means I'll be gaining a little bit more weight before I see my parents in Vancouver. There's this one movie I really want to watch next week. You guys have all seen the Matrix series. Matrix 4 comes out. Matrix 4 is called Resurrection, so that's like pretty timely to have this at the end of the year. But Matrix 4 comes out, so I'm super looking forward to that one. If you guys haven't seen the first Matrix 1, 2, and 3, it is pretty mind-blowing, very, very spiritual. But the one you gotta watch that just changes everything is Matrix 1. You'll be like, what? What is this? It is a great movie. It is based on the Lord's second coming. It basically is. You guys watch it, you'll see like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So Matrix 4 is coming on. That's the one I'm really looking forward to. And that'll be the night. I think I'm going to be watching that the night before I leave. So I'm really excited about this too. And yeah, it's the holidays. Make sure that everyone, you just really enjoy your time with your family, enjoy your time with church, with newcomers, with members. And if anything else, one thing that Sunseam does say is, we have to be those that are balanced in our lives, right? So don't just go 100% where you only spend time with members, but you got to spend time with your family. Take care of your family too, but then don't go 100% with your family and then not spend any time at church. We got to find that good balance, especially during this holiday time. So I hope that all of us can have that good balance and be able to meet your parents, take care of your parents, your family, and also, don't neglect the church. Right? Make sure you go to church for the services. There's going to be a lot of great year-ending things that are going to happen, and I hope that all of us here are looking forward to something new. All right? Of course, especially with Sky Channel, yes, some of you might have been like, what? Nothing came out last night, and the answer is yes, it didn't come out last night. It'll be coming out tonight instead. So what's going to happen is the video was different than we thought. It's actually, does God predestine people to hell? So that's a different question than the one we were talking about before of what happens to people who die before Jesus. And I think we've already done that video. It's one of our beginning videos, right? But we are going to do, does God predestine people to hell? Okay, so this is a really big topic too, and that's going to come out tonight at 6 p.m. In LA, which is 10 a.m. in Malaysia and 11 a.m. over there in Korea. So there's going to be a little bit of a change, but we'll get that video out by tonight so that you guys can go ahead and watch that one too, right? So especially with Sky Channel, thank you so much, guys, for your support. If anything else, to break this algorithm, please leave a comment on that Espresso with Sky page. That is what allows this videos to be spread even more to other people, all right? And so please support, especially with Sky Channel. It's going to come out tonight, right? Does God predestine people to hell? Also, this week, remember the Sunday edition, we met Olivia Saratella from Los Angeles. I had a live interview with her just sitting right next to her. So take a look at that one. And of course, for the next Sunday edition, we're going to meet someone from Sydney, Australia. We're going to meet Joy Joe, right? So I hope you guys are really enjoying these Sunday edition interviews and just listening to people's stories, how God has worked in their life, how God has saved people, all those people around us. And I hope that all of us here too can really be able to receive that grace and understand how much God loves people more than anything else, all right? Also on Patreon, for those of you supporting on Patreon, we do have new videos up every week. Of course, we have word studies. We have one word study from Monday. I couldn't do the Thursday night one because I was at the football game, but I will be doing a third one tomorrow morning, so I'll post that one up as quickly as possible, okay? So that means we're going to get into today's featured artist of the day. So on this relaxing Friday, we're going to start off with Pok from Paper Music Associates in Korea, and Pok in Korean means blessing. And this song is called A Flower, and that's featuring Hannah Kim over there in Washington, D.C. Secondly, you have the Sumney Boys from America with the song Facepalm. I love this song when I heard the story behind it, where they were introduced in front of Sunseum. They could have performed, but they were speechless, didn't say anything. And then, at the end of when they sat down, they gave themselves a facepalm because we should have said something. So that's a great story behind that song. And last but not least, we have Renee Lai from Taiwan. This is a cover from GEM, and this song is called Angels, all right? So let's end this year well and make sure we put in some prayers for all these member artists from around the world.
추운 날 비추인 햇살 하늘 아래 깨어난 한 송이 아득했던 밤 하늘 속 바라던 희망도 눈앞에 이뤄진 걸 작은 하나의 씨앗에서 자란다 바위와 흙 속에서 지냈던 시간 많은 시련과 아픈 기억들도 이젠 하나의 선으로 시간 속에서 살아가는 꽃 한 송이 하늘 아래 깨어나 웃음 짓네 그 환한 웃음으로 늘 인사하네 어떤 바람에도 햇살과 함께하는 모습 한결같은 마음을 잊지 않는 모습 진심으로 모든 걸 대하는 하얀 송이의 꽃이네 It's a beautiful day flower It's a beautiful day It's a beautiful day I know what you feel inside Oh flower I know you're the most beautiful flower in the world Oh flower I know you're the most beautiful flower in the world 따스한 햇살 아래서 함께하는 행복한 순간에 맺혀있던 눈물을 잠시 내려놓고 이제 활짝 핀 꽃처럼 웃는다
살아가는 꽃 한 송이
I was sitting on the ground, few feet across from you. Then my brain shut down. Who am I? Oh no, I wrote all the things I wanted to say, but my tongue went hiding in, ran away. Oh no, now you're looking at me like I'm somebody crazy. Swear I'm just a normal person. Okay, maybe I have all your pictures on my wall in my room, my telephone, my bathroom, on my mama too. Oh, I wish it was easy to tell you my feelings. I don't want you looking at me like I'm silly. I'm so down when you give cold shoulder to me. I get excited when you always call out to me. What you feel about that? All the times I've been, don't say what I feel, give myself a face palm.
Should I say something? I don't know, man. What should I do? I just want you to know me, want you to notice me. There's a lot on my mind, but this process is so slowly. I had to sit back down, I couldn't really even think. I felt so stupid, I was just looking at you and you was looking at me like dang. I really just lost my chance, lost to a poem with a snack in my hand. I was just so down, man, I felt like a clown, couldn't even let it go that I frozen up again. Felt like I failed, but I've never given up. Took a big L and I didn't come with clutch. It's something about you that gets me all stuck. You made me so nervous, like I wish it was easy to tell you my feelings. I don't want you looking at me like I'm silly.
I'm so down when you give cold shoulder to me. I get excited when you always call out to me. What you feel about that? All the times I've been, don't say what I feel, give myself a face palm. I'm so down when you give cold shoulder to me. I get excited when you always call out to me. What you feel about that? All the times I've been, don't say what I feel, give myself a face palm.
Wish I can do it again.
Give myself a face
Maybe
palm.
next time we'll work, it will be different.
Give myself a face palm.
Wish I can do it again.
Give myself a face
Maybe
palm.
next time we'll work, it will be different.
Give myself a face palm.
I wish I can do it again. Maybe next time we'll work, it will be different. I wanna tell you what I've been holding in. Maybe next time we'll work, it will be different. Face, palm, face.
Give myself a
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 别怕漫长的黑夜，抬头看看星星，此刻正脸呈现。也许是一场考验，看散落的心灵，此刻是否并肩？当你祈祷能看见奇迹，你是否相信？那答案就是你。你是最平凡却最温暖的天使，此刻风雨里，可惜有你的坚持，你带泪的笑容，有天会带来雨后的彩虹。世界因为你在痛里有感 少字沿路颠簸，多少大雨滂沱，我们都曾度过。尽管会怕会难过，同舟的你和我，再不必退缩。当你祈祷能看见奇迹，你是否相信？那答案就是你。你是最平凡却最温暖的天使，此刻风雨里，可惜有你的坚持，你带泪的笑容，有天会带来雨后的彩虹，世界因为你在痛里有感动。
And that was Renee Lai from Taiwan with a cover of a song from GEM. That song is called Angels. Before that, Facepalm from the Summoning Boys in America. And of course, the featured artist of the day, it is Bok from the Paper Music Associates in Korea with A Flower featuring Hannah Kim. All right, guys, so let's get into some news going on around the world. And of course, why is the news important? 3 reasons. Number 1, see the state of the world. Number 2, see what God is doing in the world. And number 3 is what are the things that we can comfort God's heart with. Okay, so let's start off with the coronavirus updates for today. In the world, up to this date, 272.8 million cases with 5.34 million deaths. And that's a 1.96% mortality rate. Top 5 countries going by daily death rates. The U.S. on top with 1,690 deaths in a single day with 136,000 cases. Russia in second with 1,142 deaths with 28,000 cases. Poland in third, 669 deaths with 24,000 cases. Germany, 509 deaths with 55,000 cases. And then the Ukraine, 356 deaths in a single day with 8,100 cases. Over here in North America, of course, the U.S. is on top. Second is Mexico with 262 deaths in a single day with 2,600 cases. And then Canada doing well, 29 deaths with 3,300 cases. So what are the top 5 news going on around the world? We're going to start off with Haiti. Now, we talked about this several months back where there's these gangs that are kidnapping people and they took like 17 missionaries, right? So now the Haiti kidnappers have finally released all the remaining missionaries. The remaining 12 missionaries of a group of 17 who were kidnapped by an armed gang in Haiti in October have been released. Christian Aid Ministries confirmed the news on its website. 5 of the hostages had already been released in recent weeks, and the group, consisting of 16 Americans and 1 Canadian, including children, were abducted after they visited an orphanage in an area run by a powerful criminal gang. Now, they were returning from the visit when the bus they were traveling in was seized by gang members on a main road in the town of Ganthier, east of the capital, Port-au-Prince. The group, which comprised of missionaries and their families, included 5 men, 7 women, 5 children. The adults are aged from 18 to 48, while the children were all under 15 years old. Now, when the group was first abducted on October 16th, the Washington Post reported that one of them had posted a WhatsApp message calling for help. Now, the gang, known as 400 Mazowo, was demanding a ransom of $1 million US for each of the 17 hostages. 2 people were freed in November and another 3 in early December, but their identities were not revealed. Now, all members of the group were finally freed 2 months after being kidnapped. Their release followed weeks of negotiations with 400 Mazowo. Police spokesman Gary Desrosiers told the AFP news agency ending an ordeal brought global attention to the Haiti's growing problem of gang abductions. Now, whether a ransom was paid is unknown, and it's unclear what happened to the group's Haitian driver. Haiti's powerful crime gangs, like 400 Mazowa, is kidnapping is one of their main activities, right? And they use that to finance themselves. So in April, like last April, its members abducted a group of Catholic clergy who were later released, and it's unclear if a ransom was paid. Haiti is has one of the highest rates of kidnapping in the world, as powerful gangs exploit the lawless situations to profit from ransom payments. Now, this year has been particularly bad, with nearly 800 kidnappings reported before the end of October. The rises come in the wake of presidential Jovenel Moises' assassination in July, as rival factions fight to gain control of the country in the face of a struggling police force. So great job. Actually, that WhatsApp message that was sent out said, "Pray for us," right? So as all the prayers have been received by God, all of them were finally released after 2 months. In second news, we have a super typhoon in the Philippines. So Super Typhoon Ray is battering the southern Philippines, forcing thousands of people to take shelter amid warnings of widespread flooding and destruction. The storm made landfall in Siargao, a popular tourist island, packing winds of about 175 kilometers an hour. Power and communication lines are currently down on parts of Siargao, and the UN says 13 million people could be affected by the typhoon. Flights were canceled, ports closed because of possible storm surges, and Ray is one of the strongest typhoons to hit the Southeast Asian country this year. The authorities have reported no deaths or injuries so far. The Philippines is used to powerful storms, and it's hit by an average of 20 storms and typhoons a year. So Super Typhoon Goni left a trail of death and destruction in November 2020, and it was the most powerful storm to hit the country since Typhoon Haiyan killed more than 6,000 people in 2013. So our prayers go out to our churches and the people of the Philippines, hoping that everyone is kept safe and nothing happens, no major damage or deaths. And last but not least, we're going to take a look at Asia, flush with vaccines. Okay, what is happening? So Asia is flush with vaccines, but they see the return to normal slip out of reach. So what does this mean? So the region of Asia faces questions about the pandemic end goal as authorities maintain restrictions despite peaking vaccination rates. So COVID-19 vaccines were promised to be Asia Pacific's ticket to returning to normal life, but nearly a year after the jabs arrived, life across the region is far from normal as authorities continue to restrict freedoms, particularly when it comes to travel, despite peaking vaccination rates. So the sobering reality, which has been underscored by the emergence of the Omicron variant. So I had to go look up how to pronounce Omicron. It's Omicron, right? So it's either Omicron or Omicron, so that's how you pronounce it. So Omicron variant, it raises questions about the region's end goal in fighting a virus that scientists broadly agree will exist and mutate for the rest of our lives. So authorities' failure to stick with pledges to live with COVID-19 despite world-leading vaccination rates raises a specter of never-ending restrictions, and a region that is permanently less free and interconnected unless societies can learn to adapt to higher rates of disease. So this is a really important thing is, if already scientists agree that it's going to be here forever, right? We just got to deal with it. Then why are we continuing? Like, how long are these restrictions going to be? So while China enforces a draconian zero COVID policy that has shut down practically all travel, countries including Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, and Singapore continue to tightly control their borders despite vaccination rates of approximately 80%. Air traffic in the Asia Pacific, much of which has avoided the levels of death and disease seen in Europe and North America, was still down nearly 93% in October compared with before the pandemic. Now, according to the International Air Transport Association, a far steeper decline than other parts of the world. Some Asia Pacific countries have also held on to or reintroduced significant domestic restrictions to control the virus. South Korea, for instance, has a vaccination rate of more than 80% of the total population, on Thursday announced the reintroduction of a 9 p.m. curfew for restaurants, cafes, and bars, and a ban on private gatherings of more than 4 people amid a record surge in COVID-19 cases. Malaysia, 79% of the population is double vaccinated, also announced new restrictions, including a ban on mass gatherings. In neighboring Singapore, one of the first countries to pledge to live with the virus with an 83% vaccination rate, authorities continue to restrict social gatherings and dining groups to 5 people and limit the number of visitors households can receive each day. So, Ku Ying Hui, a senior lecturer at the Department of International and Strategic Studies at the University of Malaya, told Al Jazeera the response to the pandemic raised concerns about human rights and democracy, although she believed a more concerning question is the issue of bread and butter for the people who lost their jobs when the economy suffered. Jayant Menon, a visiting senior fellow at the ISEAS Yusof Ishak Institute of Singapore, told Al Jazeera he expected some restrictions to last longer than justified by public health concerns. You see, although vaccines have greatly reduced severe illness and deaths, they have failed to prevent COVID-19 cases from surging to new highs in many countries, putting pressure on health services and prompting authorities to roll out booster shots to top up waning immunity. So the emergence of the highly transmissible Omicron variant, although so far associated with fewer deaths than past waves in South Africa, has given authorities further rationale to double down on restrictions or reverse steps towards reopening. So the WHO director, Tedros, earlier this week warned the variant was spreading at an unprecedented rate, and the sheer number of cases could once again overwhelm unprepared health systems, despite reports of overwhelmingly mild illness in South Africa. Gigi Foster, an economics professor at the University of New South Wales, who has been highly critical of pandemic restrictions, told Al Jazeera that little had changed during the last year due to a pandemic narrative perpetrated by politicians and media. Cho Sung-il, a professor of epidemiology at Seoul National University, he said that Asia-Pacific countries reliant on trade and the free movement of people may need to seek out technological solutions to balance public health and the economy. Jeff Kingston, director of Asian Studies at Temple University of Japan, told Al Jazeera political leaders in the region were cautious due to the experience of countries such as the U.S., where more than 800,000 people have died, while policies were being improvised to deal with a pandemic as we learn more about it. But he said imposing restrictions for so long could have long-term and unforeseen consequences. And if you look at the statistics, it is already coming out, like say in the U.S. We're having more people being affected by the lockdowns, not having social interactions. Depression and suicide and drug, alcohol-related deaths are much higher, right? And what we're seeing here is what is the cost of doing, how long is it going to be? If we're expecting this coronavirus to be, something that's going to never go away, why would we even have a zero COVID policy? And why aren't we dealing with it like we do the flu, right? Wouldn't it be something that we do it like the flu? Or finding some way to live with it instead of like every moment there's a surge, we're going to freak out because, think about the flu. Every year there's a time for the the flu surge, right? In the wintertime, there is a flu surge and then they offer people the flu vaccination, right? So it's something that we have to think about is how long is it going to be like this? How long is the world going to be trapped in this way with all these different policies? So that is something for a lot of people to pray about and to think about too. So that is the top 3 news for today, which means we're going to get into the top 3 sporting news for today. And of course, we're going to go start off with the NBA. Cleveland doing really well these days, beating some of the best teams in the conference. Cleveland just beat the Houston Rockets 124-89. Atlanta, led by Trae Young's 28 points, defeat the Orlando Magic, which is like the worst team in the league, 111-99. Miami defeats Philadelphia 101-96. The LA Lakers watched this game last night, went to overtime with the Dallas Mavericks. Last second 3 by a rookie. They defeat Dallas Mavericks 107-104. Russell Westbrook with 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. Milwaukee, they're out with 3-4 of their best players. They defeat the Indiana Pacers 114-99. Drew Holiday with 26 points and 14 assists. Charlotte Hornets are back on track. They defeat the San Antonio Spurs 131-115. Gordon Hayward with 41 points. Utah Jazz defeat the LA Clippers 124-103. Rudy Gobert 20 points and 17 rebounds. In NHL news, Chicago Blackhawks beat the Washington, what are they called? The Washington Capitals, 5-4 in overtime. Ovi, Alexei Ovechkin with 1 goal, 1 assist. That's his 21st goal of the season. Having an awesome, he's like well into his 30s, and he's like one of the leading scorers. Well, actually, he is the leading scorer in the league right now. New York Rangers defeat the Arizona Coyotes 3-2, and the Anaheim Mighty Ducks defeat the Seattle Kraken 4-1. And at the moment, like I said, the leader up to this date is Ovechkin. Ovechkin has 46 points with 21 goals. And then you have Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, both from the same team with 45 points apiece. Over here in NCAA, football. I'm telling you guys how big NCAA football is. It is crazy. We talked before about the salaries of the coaches and everything else, and now we have National Signing Day, which was 2 days ago, and you have Texas A&M is number one recruiting class. They have 19 recruits in the ESPN 300, and they've taken number one recruit Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, and they are number one. Number two is Georgia, and number three is Alabama. Alabama has 11 recruits in the ESPN 300, and they have 3 5-star recruits. So basically, more than anything else, the SEC, which is the big division that has both Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M, and they are securing the biggest recruits, and part of it has to do with the NIL, the name, image, likeness, right? And those of you guys don't know, Tom Brady's going to come out with his own name brand stuff, like his own clothing, the Brady brand. I don't know, that doesn't sound very good, but it's I'd rather call it TB12 brand, whatever it is, right? But that brand has already secured like 3-4 college players, and they're paying them to wear his clothing. One big news is the biggest flip ever in college football news. The number two recruit, cornerback Travis Hunter in the nation, has flipped from Florida State University to Jackson State, where Deion Sanders is the head coach. And he is that is the highest recruit, number two, to switch to a historically black college, which is Jackson State, where Deion Sanders is. But great job to Deion Sanders doing big work over there with the HCBUs. All right, so that is the top 3 news for sports, top 3 news around the world, and of course the coronavirus updates. And that brings us into the golden time. And yes, it is Christmas time. We want to get ourselves a little bit more into the Christmas spirit. We're going to start off with the song It's Peaceful, and then King of Peace. Yes, it's going to be a peaceful Friday. And then we're going to end things off with Whenever, Wherever. All right, so as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
이미 벌써 다시 오셨지. 그의 얼굴 보기를 원하지. 내가 지금 가장 보고 싶은 얼굴, 내가 지금 가장 듣고 싶은 목소리, 나의 마음속에 도적같이 다가와 평화의 씨앗을 싹트게 하신 바로 그분. 날 숨쉬게 하고서 손잡게 하는 바로 그분, 평화의 왕. 오늘 그분이 너무 보고 싶다.
재림의 역사 그 말씀대로 이 땅에 오신 나의 주 영광 받으소서. 내 신랑 내 주님. 하늘엔 영광 땅에는 평화 만왕의 왕이 이 땅에 오셨네. 주 사랑 마음으로 경배하리. 평화의 왕 주님 찬양해. 하늘엔 영광 땅에는 평화 만왕의 왕이 이 땅에 오셨네. 주 사랑 마음으로 경배하리. 평화의 왕 주님 찬양해. 평화의 왕 주님 찬양해. 평화의 왕 주님 찬양해. Whenever or wherever I may be, it's only the Lord that I see. Whether I close or open my eyes, I can't seem to get him off my mind. Oh, come to me, I heard him call. The Lord so great pleaded with me so small. And suddenly he stood by my side. With the Lord here by my side, worries of the world are gone. Thoughts of you, my Lord, rush into my mind. Whenever and wherever, it's only you I think about. When I close my eyes or open my eyes, you're the only one on my mind. Can't seem to get you off my mind. Oh, come to me, I heard him call. The Lord so great pleaded with me so small. And suddenly he stood by my side. With the Lord here by my side, worries of the world are gone. Thoughts of you, my Lord, rush into my mind. Whenever and wherever, it's only you I think about. When I close my eyes or open my eyes, you're the only one on my mind. Can't seem to get you off my mind. Thoughts of you, my Lord, rush into my mind. Whenever and wherever, it's only you I think about. When I close my eyes or open my eyes, you're the only one on my mind. Can't seem to get you off my mind. Thoughts of you, my Lord, rush into my mind. Whenever and wherever, it's only you I think about. When I close my eyes or open to get you off my mind. Thoughts of you, my Lord, rush into my mind. Whenever and wherever, it's only you I think about. When I close my eyes or open my eyes, you're the only one on my mind. Can't seem to get you off my mind.
And that was Whenever, Wherever. What a great song. I really enjoy that song. And it still reminds me of that Sun Orchestra doing that special song. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I was really moved by that. There was no lyrics. It was just the orchestra. But I really, really love that. Before that was King of Peace. And of course, it's peaceful. Okay, so let's get into the word study for today. And of course, it is Fridays, and every Friday we do the word study on the Wednesday message. And first, big shout out. I watched 2 Wednesday services that day, both New York and Los Angeles. Very, very thankful for all these leaders that are preaching this message, putting tons of work into it so that everyone can receive the grace of the Lord from it. So it is, whatever it is, the end is important. Really, really thankful and grateful. Once again, make sure you keep praying for your head leaders and assistant leaders that are delivering the messages, and also make sure that you encourage them after they finish too. All right, so a lot of different things coming out from this message, and I hope that all of us can really understand what the overall theme is, especially when it comes to the end is important. One of the big things we're talking about right now is we are at the end, not just the end of the month, but we're at the end of 2021. And it's really a time for all of us to pray, to give thanks to the Holy Trinity, and to give glory to the Holy Trinity. So let's really finish this well. Finish this year well. And then, once we finish this year really well, then in 2022, we'll be able to start at a higher level, right? That's what we want to do. We want to end things off nice and, wrap things up really well here. And then on the foundation we've built for 2021, we can jump into the next level for 2022. So if anything else, one of that first video is really good, talking about how the end, of course, the beginning and the process is important, but we're going to make mistakes along the way. And sometimes it's not going to work out the way that we like. However, the end determines the fate, right? And I was talking to one of the leaders that was preaching yesterday, and she was telling me, she was having stomach issues, and she's having a really hard time because constantly this issue came up, that issue came up, her health is not going well, but in the end, her delivery was really good. It was really inspiring and moving. And that's kind of what determines all the things. Did it make it worthwhile or not? She never quit. And she was someone that really put her all into it. So the end is the time that determines your success or failure. And I like how Sunseem says that even if you don't start very well, right? Even if you don't start very well, it's the end that will determine whether it's a success or not. And on the flip side, even if, right? The great example that Sunseem gave is if you don't believe in God until the end of life, but then at the very, very end, you absolutely seek God and call him and seek the Messiah, then Satan's and ghosts cannot drag you to hell. But on the flip side is if you believed in the Lord and God in the past, but then you distrust in the end and you don't seek and you don't call, then Satan's and demons can drag your souls and spirits into hell, which means the end is that important. Even when you look at a person's life, the end is that important. And your faith is going to be dependent on which side you lean towards when you die, right? And that's kind of like this week's scriptures, right? Matthew 24:13 is, and those who stand firm until the end will be saved, until the end, right? And that's why God gives everyone a chance until the very end. Now, one thing that we don't want to misunderstand is that, we just live our life however we want. And then right before we die, we say, oh God, I believe in you and I seek you. Yes, it's true that you'll still be saved, but remember, there's also levels of salvation. There's levels of how, at the level, which level are you being saved at a low level, mediocre level, or extraordinary level? How close are we living to God? And that is something that we have to keep in mind. It's not unfair. right? Because if someone can be saved by the skin of their bones and they just make it to heaven, that's enough. But it doesn't mean everyone's going to the same level. So that's one thing that people shouldn't misunderstand there, right? How you end your life of faith, right, is going to determine your end result of the end location of where you're going to be. And this is a great story that I've heard multiple times, but not in this much detail. When Sun was evangelizing on the streets in his 20s, there was a girl of faith, right? Someone who's a believer asked Sun to preach to her husband before her husband died. And when he preached to the husband with all of his heart, just wouldn't listen, right? This guy said, no, I don't want to do it, right? I'd rather just live comfortably and just pass away. And when Sun saw this guy in the spiritual world, saw number one is a ship about to sink, right? It was filling up fast with water. And then he prayed for the husband, and then saw a large snake inside the body. And all he had to do was to confess and believe, and that snake would leave the body, but he didn't instead. And on the day that the husband died, we saw that there's like demons and the angels of death like beating the body to the point that it was even seen in the physical world where the guy spit out his own tooth, just groaning, right? And, when we see that, we're like, wow, this is so crazy. Like, this is what is seen in the spiritual world, but we cannot see in the physical world, so that we take it so lightly. So this is why God allowed Sun to purposely see the last moments of this person's life, screaming in pain, right? And the angels of death were just gathering around him, whipping, bashing his face in with a hammer, right? And it was so painful that even in the physical realm, he popped a tooth out of his mouth, right? So even that, Sun was in like crazy shock at that point. Well, imagine you seeing that this husband's spirit was being dragged away into the mountains behind the house. So, this is the process of how a person's death is like in detail, especially the person who refuses to believe until the very end. Right? So we could say that those who believe until the very end will be saved, and those who refuse to believe until the very end will not be saved, right? And it's really important for us to understand how the end of life is that important. So after seeing that, imagine if you saw that, you do the same thing as Sun, right? He went straight into the mountains to pray even more. And he, knowing what people were going through, how much they were suffering, he began to evangelize even more. We have to evangelize so people can call God by the end of their life. So they won't be dragged away by Satan. So they won't be beaten, right, and bludgeoned in their spirit. So, we have to evangelize our parents, our sisters and brothers, everyone else. And of course, those of us who are pretty lucky, like even I consider myself so blessed that my parents are very strong Christians. My aunt and uncle, very strong Christians. They go to pre-dawn at 4:30 a.m., which shocks me too, but I'm like, wow. There are people that really, really believe, trying to live that life, right? People, we want to make sure that not a single person goes to hell more than anything else. Yes, we might be thinking like, sometimes we think a little bit too extreme where everyone has to rapture. And the answer is no, because if we think only about rapture, then we're going to lose a lot of people to hell. But some people, we just got to get them to at least believe in God, at least go to church, at least go to a Christian church, something along that line, at least that much. At least that much. Because even that in itself is saving people from death. That is righteousness in itself. Right? So I hope that we can kind of change our minds is not about just rapturing people. Not everyone's going to be raptured. Just a very small number of people are going to be raptured. But we need to make sure people are saved. Right? What if they can't become a bride? Then at least become a child of God. At least become a child of God. Right? So this is what Sun was seeing from his 20s in the spiritual world. In his 20s. So once you see this, you'll be able to understand life a little bit more differently too. And, when we look at history, not just life itself of individuals, but if you look at the country, our families, the nations, history too, the end is that important. How you end each year is so important. So the Holy Spirit, basically said the end of the year is that important. So have a good, do a good job wrapping things up, making sure you fulfill the things you promised to fulfill at the beginning of the year, end things well, and then, catapult into the next year. God will give us the best things at the end. So if we've worked hard, if we've done, all the stuff, think about the entire year. Even if we've slowed down a little bit at the end of the year, don't give up, because there was tons of things we did during the year, right? So even for myself, I'm thinking about, I was doing like Bible studies, and there was like 120 people in the Bible study preaching the words or doing these podcasts, making these videos, all these different things. There are so many things that God is going to look at, even though I might think to myself, right now it's not as good. Well, you got to think about this. It's okay, right? You might not have, all that, you think about the entire year. So you just got to end well so you can receive all the best things at the end of the year. All the things you worked hard in, God will give the best things based on that foundation. So everyone, let's do our best until the end. And then we can receive the best things that happen at the end of the year, right? What are we going to receive? Think about what you're receiving in return. And if we can pray and realize this, then we can remember and gain what we've forgotten, right? The things that we've forgotten, we can gain those things too. And sometimes we receive things, we just forgot about them. So we're like, what did we get? But we've gained so much already. So remember what you needed to give to God and the Holy Spirit. Pray so we can remember. Pray that those things come back to our minds, the things that we've forgotten, right? Only the wholehearted love and what you've done in reality, only those things done with complete obedient hearts. We have to be obedient to the word, right? So we have to do our best, right? And we have to put in the effort to reach God and get fulfilled, right? So the thing that, remember that video that showed the angels receiving our prayers? And there's that guy falling asleep, and then there's the person who's very, very earnest. It's the wholehearted love, right? And that's what is taken to God. And the things that are done half-hearted will not be taken to God. So we have to be obedient to the word, do things sincerely and earnestly. And we can't, because God is absolute and God does things in such a powerful way. As brides of God, we can't do it in a mediocre, ordinary way, because those things will never reach him. It has to be at the same wavelength, right? The wavelength is not about the result. The wavelength is about the level, right? So a baby crying out with all his heart for food is reaching that top point of sincerity, because that's the thing he wants the most, that baby, right? In the same way, a teenager has something, adults have something, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 20s, 30s, whatever it is, we all have that level of sincerity. And we need to reach that wavelength in order for it to connect with God more than anything else. So only the sincere, earnest prayers, the perfect prayers will reach out to God. So I hope that, and if we have, can you imagine having sincere, earnest, and perfect prayers? That would mean that you would eventually, then you would take action that much more earnestly about the things that you prayed about. So I hope that, even if you doze off, get back up and get back into that sincere prayer more than anything else. Just get back up, right? Oh, wow. So I was really, this week's message was so good. And I liked how Sunseem said, he said, pray clearly and take action. And this is the last thing that brides must do. So think about this last thing we have to do. Pray clearly. Take action. And this is the last thing that brides must do. And this was a really powerful thing, because this was after that third video about, move your legs and arms powerfully to gain muscle, right? So you need strong thoughts. So you need powerful and intense prayers, right? See the spiritual world, see the world of life, concentrate, right? But in the end, he said, praying clearly and taking action is the last thing that brides must do. And I do think that's something that's really, really important for us to get into our hearts and our minds. Right? Don't let, the Satans will walk past those, right? Satans will walk past those that are strong in faith, but they will go bully and poke those that are weak in faith, those really small, scrawny bodies and stuff like that too. So this is the year, guys. End this year well, to renew the body and spirit, take action clearly with a strong mind, and then we're going to reap the rewards, the harvest at the end of the year that we've worked so hard for. So don't quit. Push yourself and make sure that we have that love that remains in the end. It's like from Frozen 2 that I saw 2 days ago is Olaf saying, I realize the only thing that is permanent is love, right? And that's the thing that we want to have remaining in the end. So the Holy Spirit, as we heard in the message, is anxious, just wishing for us to take action every day. So I hope that all of us here pray with everything that you have. And then what's going to happen is you'll realize what the greatest thing we've received this year. So when you think about that last video with Sunseem, and 2 months, never losing time, never being late. And now he is receiving, what is he receiving, right? He's receiving more word than at any other time and giving it to us. So we're seeing that at this time of prayer, one of the greatest gifts we can receive is the words of God, that we're receiving it at this level. How powerful it is this last 2 months that Sunsee's been praying like this, right? So I hope that we can be those that can realize the power of the word, because the word is God. We're receiving God every single day, every week, right? No one else is receiving except us. So what's the best thing? We have to pray at the highest level, right? When we pray at the highest level, we will receive the best things. So I hope that everyone here have an amazing end of the week, having a good weekend. Prepare yourselves well for the Sunday message. And I hope that everyone can pray really well. Pray for me, pray for this podcast, pray for Providence to grow. And I hope that my prayers go out to you guys too. And all the amazing things that you guys have done this entire year. Hope that everyone will get blessed at the highest level. All right, so that is the word study for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. That leads us into the last song for today, which is on Musical Friday. And we're going to go into a musical called White Christmas, which is way back in the 60s or 70s, right? White Christmas with Bing Crosby. But this is one of the songs from there called Count Your Blessings Instead of Sheep. I really like this Christmas song. I hope you guys enjoy this. It kind of puts into context all the blessings and the bad things that happen. But instead of just counting sheep and going to bed anxiously, count your blessings instead and know that you are so blessed. All right. So this is from Sandy Patty. And this is Count Your Blessings Instead of Sheep. And this is from White Christmas musical from way back in the 60s. All right. So everyone please enjoy.
When I'm worried and I can't sleep, I count my blessings instead of sheep, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. When my bankroll is getting small, I think of when I had nothing at all, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. I think about a nursery and I picture curly heads. Then one by one I count them as they slumber in their beds. So if you're worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. So if you're worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep. You'll fall asleep. You'll fall asleep counting your blessings.
And that was Count Your Blessings Instead of Sheep. That is from Sandy Patty. Hope you guys really enjoyed that Christmas song. But it puts into reality, whenever things go bad and we have things to worry about, if anything, look at all the blessings that God has given to us in the past and know that God will bless you even more into the future. I am super grateful and thankful. And I hope that this song was able to kind of comfort you guys and help you guys to see the reality of how things are going on. Okay, so that is a musical song of choice, which means we're going to get into the final segment for today and for the entire week. And of course, every Friday night we have our special segment, which is Victory Rhymes with Youngse, who's in South Africa pioneering a church right now. Hope you guys really enjoy this. Everyone, please welcome Youngse.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to this week's segment of Victory Rhymes here on the Morning Star Drive. Victory Rhymes is where I share the poetry, the resurrected poetry written by the brides of this history. As I've said before in previous segments, resurrected poetry refers to like the poems, the writings, the songs, the raps, all these written pieces of art that has been resurrected. You know, the arts these days it's just so fallen in the world. If you look at the songs and the raps and the poems and all the movies and stuff out there these days, it's so fallen. But since we are the resurrected people of this time period, we can write the resurrected poems that give glory to God, and that's what I love to share here on Victory Rhymes. So this week, today is Friday. I'm just happy to be the bringer of good news. Like, if you hear my voice, you know you've made it to the end of the week. And maybe you're on a holiday already. Well, for those of you who are on holiday already, I'm happy for you. For those who are not yet, like, you can do it. You can make it to the end of this work week or this period of work. How many days you have left? You can do it. Like this week's message says, like, go until the end. So we've made it to the end of this week. So well done, everyone. Now this week's poem is related to this week's Sunday message, which was whatever it is, go until the end. And this week's poem is, you've guessed it, from my favorite book, The Rocks Crumbled But My Heart Did Not Crumble, written by Sangsnim. And this poem is on page 221, and it is called The Parting Reeds. I gathered my heart that was blown about like reeds in the wind. I gathered my knees that were parted and I kneeled down. Then I told the Lord that I would like to live only according to His heart, not my heart, for the rest of my life. This was all because the Lord's heart touched my heart. There were times when for 70 days I just prayed and ate nothing because I had no food to eat. However, even in the moment when I was nearly dead, I did not pray to God for food to eat. God, I'm so thankful that I can die while just loving you. I am so unworthy to serve you. I do not deserve to serve you in my life. You are so high, and I am not worthy of you. It is too far to become close to you. However, when I look up to you, 1,000 miles away, so high and great, I will serve you with all my heart, will, and life, and never leave you. Isn't this poem so beautiful and just testifies for His love that is so unending and so unchanging, no matter what the circumstance? And how it's just amazing how Sangsnim, even though he didn't have food to eat, even for 70 days, he was just so happy to love God until the end. Like this part of the poem that says, God, I'm so thankful that I can die while just loving you. And so he was dying from starvation, and like 70 days without eating. I mean, that's crazy. And he was just thinking, how amazing is it that I can love God until the end? And this really makes me think about the kind of mentality that we need to have. So we really need to have the Lord's mentality. Like he also says at the beginning, we told the Lord that I would like to live only according to His heart, not my heart, for the rest of my life. Now we really need to also live with the Lord's heart, the Lord's thoughts, until the end of our life. And we can see that kind of mentality in this poem. And it really makes me ask the question. It really makes me think of this. This week's message says, whatever it is, go until the end. Now, when we say, I'm gonna evangelize until the end, I'm gonna love God until the end, I'm gonna thank God until the end, I'm gonna believe in God until the end, and I'm gonna give glory to God until the end, I'll believe in the Lord until the end, I'll never shake. These kind of things. Do we say that only when we like the circumstances? Like, do we consider the circumstances? Or do I wait for the circumstances? Do I say, I'm gonna evangelize until the end, only when the circumstances are perfect? Do I have like, what is this in English? Fine script? Yeah, you know, those small letters at the bottom of a contract? Do I have conditions when I say I'm gonna do it until the end? Am I gonna do it until the end as long as God provides this, according to my thoughts? Or am I gonna do it until the end as long as I don't have to go this far? You know, I'm gonna do it until the end as long as I don't have to try harder than this. Do I have some conditions when I say I'm gonna go until the end? Because when I look at this poem and how Samson didn't even have anything to eat, and he was just so happy still to love God until the end. This just made me think like, whoa, like his love was just so powerful and so fiery and so absolute that even when he had no food to eat, he was just so happy that he can still love God. And this really made me think then, okay, then I really need to sit and think, I really think about it and I commit. I'm gonna believe until the end. I'm gonna trust until the end. I'm gonna evangelize until the end. I'm gonna spread the gospel. I'm gonna praise God and thank God until the end, despite the circumstances. And this is very inspiring to me, because these circumstances are just not always our favorite. It's not always exactly how we wanted it. And it's easy in good times to be like, oh yeah, amen, you know? But we really need to keep that absolute faith, absolute love, absolute thanksgiving until the end at all times. Like the Lord. Isn't that what He does? He always praises God. He always thanks God. He always loves God. He always has this absolute faith, absolute love, absolute thanksgiving, always preaching the word. When you think about history until now, this amazing history that we're part of, and you can clearly see there were extremely difficult times, but look at His consistency and how He always loved God, always thanked God, always preached the gospel, always evangelized, no matter what. And this really makes me think, okay, in whatever it is, I have to go until the end. And I have to make up my mind that I'm not gonna put out I'm not gonna be seasonal when it's about going until the end. But I'm really gonna go until the end. Absolutely. Whatever the circumstances. In fact, sometimes I feel like when things are difficult, I grow a lot more. When you pray more desperately, try harder, seek more because you're desperate. And then in good times, we need to really remember and continue that desperate prayers. We pray desperately for something, and then afterwards, how desperately do we give thanks? How earnestly do we give thanks? And so it made me think like, wow, Sangsanim's extremely consistent, and he does everything until the end. But even in this kind of circumstance, like having nothing to eat, he's just thinking, how great is it that I can love God until the end? And then the last part is actually another poem called The One in Heaven. How he feels like God is so big. And in this part where it says, it is too far to become close to you. However, I look up to you 1,000 miles away, so high and great. I will serve you with all my heart, will, and life, and never leave you. Isn't that so amazing? Like how he says these words, but if you look at his life, it is exactly what he has done. So it really inspires me to really think about this week's message going until the end, even though sometimes it just doesn't work out when you try to evangelize, or sometimes things are just very difficult. We've all gone through various things, and sometimes it's extremely difficult, sometimes it's easy, but I'm gonna make up my mind once again that despite the circumstances will not control me, but I'm gonna be faithful until the end, no matter what. No fine script, no extra conditions. It's because I want to. It's so amazing how also Sangsim said that he didn't even think to ask God for food. He was just so thankful that he could love God until the end. This is such a high level. It's extremely amazing, and it's very inspiring. And I hope that you could hear something that inspires you from this story, this poem today and the segment today. And if there was something that you liked, please comment and let's have a conversation in the comments. If there's something that you would like to share on this segment, we've had people share poems from all over, so many different countries. South Africa, Japan, Canada, we've had America, Australia. So please share your poem. I would love to hear it. Or if there's another poem that you'd like to recommend, or even a song you've written, share it. Even if the song is not even composed yet, share the lyrics. It's fun. So okay, this is the end for today. But I'll be back again next week with another segment of Victory Rhymes. This is Youngsay. Goodbye.
And thank you, Youngsay from South Africa. Thank you so much for another wonderful edition of Victory Rhymes. And of course, it's really important. I think it's great that we ended this year with this amazing and awesome, ending this week with that amazing poem from Sunstein. And I hope that all of us too can really get ourselves to understand much more clearly of what we need to do. I hope that we can have that similar mindset as the Lord, and we could be those that can bring this mindset into other people too. All right, everyone. It is Friday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Make sure to catch the video on Espresso with Sky tonight. And we had the Sunday edition with Joy Joe from Sydney, Australia on Sunday. And then we'll see you guys again on Monday on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive,